Hi, I'm James Michael Angelo. I'm a comic and a real estate agent. I talk to real New York celebrities and real New York brokers, and I get the real New York stories. This is What's Your Deal? Today I sit down with friend and artist Scooter LaForge and Compass broker Michelle Matilla. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I'm stoked.
It's
I'm
good
really
to be
happy
here.
that you're here, really.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to tell everybody who's watching where here is.
Okay.
So we're at 345 East 4th Street. Obviously, we're not in some kind of, typical apartment.
No.
We're in a church.
No, it's
I'm bringing you to
gorgeous in here.
church, Scooter.
Yes.
And I couldn't have made it more convenient for you.
Of course, I know. I live right there across the street, so it's very convenient.
I tried to accommodate you as much as
Well,
possible.
I appreciate that. Now I can go back and put my pajamas on and get back into bed.
Well, good, because it's winter and you
it's like,
should.
It's like 4:30 in the morning.
Oh, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I had to get up at 3 a.m.
it was a very early
so
call
it's
time
not
with
that
us.
convenient. Yeah,
I
it's
know.
early call time.
I'm slaving you away for an interview.
Yeah, welcome to the glamorous world of television.
All right, people already get this probably who are watching, but in full disclosure, we've known each other for 15 years.
Yes.
Going on 16 years.
Yeah.
It'll probably be 16 years. Can you believe it?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But I've never interviewed you.
No.
And
No.
it's funny because I've learned so much more about you. But, right off the top, I just want everyone to know that you're you're such a multifaceted artist. But let's just talk a little bit about, painting. You know no boundaries as far as medium goes. I mean, canvas, linen, the human body, clothing, accessories, art installations. Your most recent art opening that I went to, Empirical Nonsense, basically sums up what you are about as an artist. I mean,
Yeah.
there is no bounds for you, right? Your whole philosophy is freedom and let it go where it goes.
Well, that's funny you say that because the first duty of an artist is to be free. And I have to remember that every day when I wake up. So you said the word freedom, and that's exactly what it is.
So as far as your career goes, and I feel like, knowing you for as long as I have, watching your life and your career explode has been an honor to watch that. But it's really the clothing that when you started putting your art on clothing, that you almost, I feel that you were really a trailblazer in that respect.
Well, yes and no. I mean, they've done it in the 80s. They did it in the 70s. They did it in the 60s with flower power, 70s disco. I'm sure people were painting on clothes. And then the 80s, Keith Haring was painting on clothes, and Jean-Michel Basquiat was painting on clothes. And I did it as a means to make money. I was painting on T-shirts and selling them on the street in the meatpacking district, and I was selling them for like $10. And a friend of mine who owned a store on 12 Little West 12th Street started selling them, and then he closed his shop down. And then I have Patricia Field to thank. One of her buyers and employees, Reiko Lauper, who's a fantastic artist, came to a nightclub where I was silk screening T-shirts, and she asked me if I wanted to sell some shirts in the store. So that's how that got started, through Reiko. And then Pat and I became very, very close friends, and now I consider her my family.
And so at what point did Beyonce, Rihanna, Gwen Stefani, when were you kind of starting to be freaked out at the fact that they were wearing your clothes?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, when did I start getting freaked out by it? Pat is friends with Beyonce since Beyonce is 16 years old.
Get out of here.
And I had a painted trench coat in Pat's store, and Beyonce came in and bought it, and she wore it to an NBA All-Star game, and since then I've made stuff for her daughter. And, I don't get to meet and, interact with these celebrities, but they like the clothes and they're moved by them. And a lot of people are, very moved by them. It's people love the clothes. They want to be different. They want to have a one-of-a-kind piece. So I think, it was time for that, and I guess people got sick of this fast fashion, like your H&Ms and your,
Right.
where there's 20,000 T-shirts of the same graphic print. I think a lot of people just want to have their own personal thing, and then they can put it with whatever they want. They can wear it with a suit. I've had girls wear them with Valentino dresses, and they throw the T-shirt on over this couture $20,000 dress. So you know, it's good for me, and I'm very lucky, and actually not lucky because I don't believe in luck, but very fortunate that these clothes have been so successful. They've taken me around the world, basically.
Yeah, between that and the art installations.
Yeah.
What a gift.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you really have kind of an artist dream career. I'm sure there's a lot of struggling artists that hate you, and rightfully so, because not only are you talented, but you're good looking. So those are two reasons that they should be really annoyed
Oh
with
my
you.
God.
But I imagine, I imagine that it's kind of a, you know, like you use the word blessings a lot,
Yeah.
you know, but you really have an amazing career.
Well, I need to remember that, because there's days when I feel sorry for myself. There's days where I'm like, poor me, poor me, poor me, you know. But I need to hear those, you know, when people say that to me, I need to be like, yes, you're right. I do have an amazing career. I'm a full-time artist. I have an apartment that I live in by myself. I have an art studio that I get to paint in that's 15 minutes away from my apartment, and I'm living in Manhattan.
So
Do I need to say more?
No,
I
you
mean,
don't
come
need-
on.
well, I hope so, 'cause this is called The Top
like
Show.
the best place in the world. I mean, I do love my life, but you know, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I want to be here, I want to be there, and you know, one thing I've learned is you cannot compare your insides to other people's outsides.
Amen to that.
That's just a downhill slope. So I try not to do that, and I do have a nice life, and thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really amazing to watch. Like I said,
Yeah.
I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's been really cool to watch that. And you own it, you know, and you deserve it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're from New Mexico, grew up in New Mexico, right? Your dad is a landscape architect. Your mom was a singer and an actress.
My dad actually is he was a
I'm sorry,
painted-
landscape painter. I apologize.
Yes, he painted a lot of landscapes in our yard and on the cinder block wall in our backyard. But go ahead.
Right, so your dad's a
Yeah.
landscape painter. Your mom's a singer and actress. You were
Yes.
surrounded by the
Yes.
artistic, you know, gene.
Yeah.
So, you know, the whole point of why I wanted to do this show is because I believe that, you know, where you live tells your story.
Yeah.
Right? And I think people's stories are told from within the walls in which they live them.
Yes.
So there's a couple things I want to explore right now. So was the inside of your home, was it all just like kind of an artistic expression type of environment? Or was it more like, you know, your mom went and sang and did her acting, and your dad went and painted, and then they came home to more of the family time? And, you know, where did you first start having your freedom?
Well, my parents were very social, and we had a lot of parties, and there was a lot of art and singing and dancing and theater inside of our house. And when I was a kid, I used to put plays on. I used to paint. I painted my whole bedroom. I painted a mural all over my room when I was a kid.
I mean, everything in our childhood, I mean, my comedy is built on it, so whatever happened in the walls of my family definitely spawned some of
Yeah.
the jokes. But it really does force you to really look at life through those eyes.
Yeah.
All right, so fast forward through, you go to San Francisco.
Yeah.
You have scholarships, you're doing really
Yeah.
well, you're getting work.
Yeah.
And then you come to New York City in 2001.
Yeah, you know, I was in San Francisco, and I loved it there, and I had a fairy tale San Francisco life. It was right out of the book Tales of the City. And then one day I woke up and I was like, you know, I'm moving to New York, and I want to be a full-time artist in New York City. I'm going to live that life.
Right, because you want to go to the cheapest place possible to be a full-time
I know.
artist.
What is that? I mean, come on. But I had to do it. I had to. And I started from the ground up again, you know, because in San Francisco I was well known as an artist and a painter, and I was doing well there. And then I came here, and once you move to New York, you have to start in line.
That is for
It
sure.
took me 10 years to like hang one single painting on the wall somewhere. I mean, you really get in line here. You can't just come here and rule the city the first week you get here, which is a mistake that a lot of people make.
I hear you.
You wait in line, and you have to be patient, and you have to be, you know, a worker among workers, and be humble and do your thing, you know? And that's what I've been doing, and I've been here since 2001.
So when you first got to New York, where'd you live? Where was the first place?
In Williamsburg, in a beautiful loft, and it was very inexpensive, and I had a roommate,
Yeah.
and we lived in a very large loft for a year.
And this is what I love, and this is, you know, around the time that I met you. Maybe just before, I'm not sure. So you bought your apartment here.
I did.
And for me, when I first went into your apartment, I was wowed because it was really an art studio.
Yeah.
You know, your
It
living
was
room
an
was
art
the art
studio, yes.
studio, and then you had your bedroom.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, I mean, we're going to talk about your art, you know, the style of your art a little bit, but I mean, cartoons really influenced you. And, you
Yes.
know, cartoonish is one way that people describe your art. And I feel like your bedroom was still very much like a child.
Yes.
You know, a connection
Yeah.
to your childhood.
Yeah.
And that kind of, you know, that really infused your living room and all of the art there.
Yeah.
So how was it? Because you really are the epitome of an artist moving to New York and building their career that really took off out of, you know, from within the walls in which you've lived in.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. That's why I wanted to talk to you, because you are what New York represents as far as an artist goes, and
Right.
just living in that one space.
Yeah. Well, you know, first of all, careers don't just take off. I've been here for almost 20 years, and my career didn't just take off. It was a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, and, you know, the ups and then the really low lows. But I just worked. I kept working. I kept putting the work into my craft, the 10,000 hour, you know, kind of rule of life where you put 10,000 hours into your craft. So it took me a long time. My career just did not take off, and my career is still going. I mean, I still have a bunch of goals and stuff, but I put a lot of hard work into it, and I've had a billion jobs here. You know, I was a shoe salesperson at Jimmy Choo. I worked at Marc Jacobs. I worked at a place called Earl Jean. I worked in cafes. I worked at a bank. So, you know, it's tough. You got to figure your path out when you get here. But it did take me a long time to be a full-time artist. I mean, it was tough. That's where the real creativity is how you're going to make a career and make money doing what you love the best. That's what people need to figure out.
And, you know, I love that you said that. You know,
Yeah.
when I said your career take off, I guess that's exactly what I meant, is that you had this space that you worked out of day in and day out.
Yeah, a tiny apartment.
Tiny
I worked out of,
apartment.
a tiny apartment.
Yeah. But it was, you know, it was tiny, but it was filled with really big ideas.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. Because
Yes.
no matter what the space you live in, space is so important.
It is,
And-
and I still treat my tiny apartment as a art studio because that's where I do drawings and I look at books and I study a lot in there. And then I have a painting studio where I can get really, really messy and carry those ideas from home to the studio, and I can ride my bike there in 10 minutes. So I just love that.
So let's talk about your new collection.
Okay, the paintings that I just completed, the title of that show is actually called Creation of the Animals, and it's about day 5 and day
makes sense.
6 from the book of Genesis, where God created animals. And I did day 5, which he created sea life, and then day 6 where he created land animals. So I did 3 large paintings and then 2 small paintings. It's a small gallery. It's a beautiful gallery at 87 Rivington Street. And, you know, I don't think it's any coincidence that we're sitting here in a church and I'm talking about the Bible, right? There's no coincidences in life. But yeah, so that's what I was moved by, the creation of the animals. I love animals, and I've been painting animals for a long time.
Yeah, we have that in common, and I fell in love with one of them, and I told you
Yeah,
I'm coming back for it.
Yeah.
It had a swan and a
Yeah.
snake, and
Yeah.
they were all intertwined.
yeah.
You know, your art has been described as humorous, intelligent, sexual, cartoonish.
Yeah.
You know, is it? Do you consider yourself overall a pop artist? Because that's how
Well-
you're described oftentimes in the
Yeah.
in the press.
When you look at it, you know, it has bright colors and big, bold strokes, and, you know, it looks like it's really fun and jovial when you look at them. But if you look deeper and you really open your eyes and you see what's in these paintings, you'll see a lot of different layers of what's really going on. So
And what is really going on?
you have to go and look at the paintings and see for yourself. I don't like talking about my own paintings,
know,
but
it's
a
so
lot
funny.
of people, you know, see their own thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because people ask me all the time, you know, what style of comedy do you do? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
And art is subjective.
Art is very subjective.
But you don't like to describe your art
No.
at all. Interesting, yeah.
No, I let people see what they want to see, and then I actually get inspired by what people see in the paintings.
Every artist works differently. So when you're, let's say when you're at your art space versus your home space,
Yeah.
how's the art different? Is it?
My apartment, it has a life of its own, and the space kind of takes control of me. I've never been someone who takes control of the art space. I really admire people who do that, but my space kind of takes control of me, because if I feel like painting at 4 a.m, I'll get up and paint something on the wall, and then it's there and it's there forever. So, my spaces dictate who I am, and not vice versa. But when I do my artwork, I dictate that. But I've never been one to like really be like into my space. I mean, the space has really bossed me around. So that's how it's always been my whole life.
I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I think people can look at space two different ways.
Yeah.
We live our lives from within the walls in which, we design them.
Yeah.
Or I think it's fascinating you let that talk to you.
The space designs itself, it really does. Yeah.
Do you still have Charlie Brown sheets?
I
in your
do
bed?
still have my Charlie Brown sheets. Yes.
So look at that.
Yeah.
You're dictating your
and
space.
I have a piece of velvet that somebody gave me that I thumbtacked as a curtain in my bedroom. And I have art all over my house from my friends that I buy and people give me, and I try and support my friends with my artwork, buying their artwork, and I have beautiful pieces in my room.
You've been on the Lower East Side for a long time.
Since 2006.
And I mean, you could not be any more, you couldn't represent the Lower East Side any more than you do, which is why I thought it was amazing that we got this space here.
Yeah.
What do you think of the neighborhood and how it's changed? And B, do you think you'll ever leave?
I love this neighborhood, A. It has changed a lot. My block hasn't changed because I live between C and D on 3rd Street. It's still quiet. It's still authentic to the neighborhood. I've known a lot of my neighbors for years and, for over a decade, and it kind of, it's stayed the same. It's changed a little bit, but there's no bars, there's no nightclubs, there's no fancy restaurants here, which I love. I love the people who live in this area, and I'm friends with a lot of these local people, and I've made very good friends with a few of them, and I consider them my family. And that's what is the beauty of Manhattan, especially in this area, that it stays authentic to what the city is.
A space like this, which, hopefully will be respected by the new buyers.
I hope so, yeah,
You know?
because it's gorgeous.
It
in
really
here.
is gorgeous,
Yeah.
and it really has the potential to add to the neighborhood. When I say a space tells your story, where you are really defines what kind of story you're going to tell. So where are you now in your story?
I'm still on my journey in life. I'm where I'm at today. I try and stay in the present, and where I'm at today is I'm getting ready to have a big art show coming up in February, and I'm focusing on that, and I'm deep in the middle of painting. And painting and being an artist is my life, it's my passion, it's what I do, it's what I was put on earth to do. So right now I'm just focusing on the painting, and I work, and then I come home and I go to sleep, and I get up and have my coffee and my oatmeal and go back to work. And I feel like I'm putting culture into Manhattan, which is really important because it's diminishing the culture here. So, I'm doing what I can do to keep that going and keep art and dance and acting and dancing and poetry and anything that's creative and that, people can express out of their heart in this city. I think is really important. I don't want it to turn into a corporate cement building.
That's interesting, because New York is going to change no matter what. And I've been here since the mid-'90s.
Yeah.
And, I moved here in New York because I watched from Boston everything that was going on in the 70s and the 80s, and I couldn't wait to get to New York. New York is always going to change.
Yeah.
So how do you respect that as an artist, not get resentful as some people have that the old New York is gone, and continue to stay inspired?
The answer to that is the most simple thing, is just go with the flow. Stop holding on to your past. I don't hold on to the past. I mean, I try and just go with the flow and accept, and it's about acceptance. New York is about to change. You have to accept it and move on and go with the flow.
You're so needed for this city. I just love you.
Oh, I love you too.
I do.
Thank you for asking me to do this.
No, really, thank you for doing it. I mean, your voice is needed just as much as your artwork is needed because you are an influential artist. You're becoming one of the most influential artists. I mean, your name is really up there with Keith Haring and Jean-Michel, and it's in publications. You were in
Thank
Forbes
you.
magazine. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love you
you
so much, and I can't wait to see
Oh
what
my
you
God,
do next.
thank you so much. I love you too.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
I wish I could still do drugs. I do. I really do. But I can't. I'm one of those guys who bottomed out. I am. I had one of the worst bottoms that a gay guy could have. I slept with a woman. It was horrible. Horrible. Both of us high as kites on crystal meth. And she was like, will you go down on me? So I gave her a pedicure for 12 hours. That bitch's toes have never looked so good.
All right, well, first of all, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
And thank you for inviting us into this amazing property. We're at 345 East 4th Street. We are not in a penthouse. We are not in a townhouse. We are in a church. This place is amazing. It's
Isn't it
amazing.
beautiful?
It's gorgeous.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that you're here today.
Thank you. Tell me a little bit about this place.
Well, it was built in 1895 as a Russian Orthodox church, and it was later purchased in 1975 by a priest who was going to convert it into a Hispanic Orthodox church. And he did hold a lot of masses here. He held a lot of community events, dinners, and things like that for the holidays. He also opened up this space to people to come pray and meditate during the day. So it was really special. And then as you look around the church, you'll see that he was also an avid art collector, collecting mostly Catholic and religious artworks and artifacts that he had framed specifically for this space. He also made these beautiful mosaics that you'll see around the church, and that was from the stained glass windows that had to be broken when the buildings next door came to be.
Wow. Wow.
So it's really a spectacular place.
I mean, you know, here on the Lower East Side, to have a building like this as a broker,
Yeah,
to sell here
It's
as
very
the Lower
special.
East Side is exploding
it is.
quite a bit.
Yes.
So how do you feel as far as when you do a showing in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it that you point out for potential buyers? It's zoned for commercial.
It's zoned
But
for.
what are the potential as far
It's zoned
as-
for actually residential and community.
Okay.
So it could be converted into a condo space because there's a lot of air rights. It's currently 3 floors and a basement, a full basement. But it can also, there's 5,700 square feet of air rights.
Wow.
So there's a lot of expansion possibilities.
Wow.
Or it could be a single-family home where this sanctuary here would be an amazing entertaining space where they could keep some of the beautiful original details that are here.
Yeah. Can you imagine having a dinner party in here?
Yeah, yeah. Or just a spiritual center, you know,
Yeah.
something like that. There's just a lot of potential, and I really can't wait to see what the next buyer's going to do and how they're going to use the space.
Yeah, well, you do. And, you know, I walked upstairs a little bit, as you know, before, and you have the apartments upstairs. You have
Yes.
the mezzanine right here, which
Mezzanine
is absolutely
beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
It's beautiful, and that ceiling was hand-painted by the priest's nephews.
Wow.
So it's gold stars all over the church.
It's so beautiful.
It really is.
So let's talk a little bit. You know, you've come to Compass as
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
And I think we've all been bewitched by, you know, Robert Rifkin and what he's doing.
Oh, my God.
It is unbelievable, isn't it?
It is. It's a
Yeah.
really
Tell me a little
special-
bit about your experience so far at Compass.
Well, I was lucky enough to be invited to come in February. So it was, and I'd been at another, a much bigger firm for 10 years. So coming here, it's a whole dynamic atmosphere. We are lucky enough to work on the Upper West
We
Side.
are lucky enough to be in the same office.
We're lucky enough, yes, and I'm lucky enough to know you. So that office is really special. We have a very nice support staff there, including a number of full-time marketing people, so that for each property we get to put on the market, we can strategize with them and come up with really creative marketing efforts to showcase the property and give it maximum exposure that we all want.
Yes, and especially with a property like this.
Especially with
You
a
know,
property
I mean, I
like
can't
this.
imagine you having a property like this with any other firm.
Right,
And,
exactly.
You know, Robert really unveiled his plan to introduce a more humanitarian, face of Compass.
And I love that.
I do too. I think it's
Yeah.
really something that, he saw something that was really needed in the real estate business in many different forms. And I love that you now are with a brokerage that you can take the humanitarian aspect of this property
Yeah.
and pair it with a brokerage that really understands that. And like you said,
Exactly.
marketing is dynamic, which only helps your customers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, you are an extremely, you're a veteran in the
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
and you're charming and you're great to work with. And what are sellers really giving you right now in today's market? What are they saying? What's their feeling as far as the market goes?
Well, I think it varies with the price range, but they still want to get, top dollar for their property. And for that, we really have to showcase the property and also present it in such a light that it is going to get the most amount of money for them. And luckily at Compass, we have the marketing capabilities to do that. And we also work with really great stagers that can transform a space even before we put it on the market.
That's true. And Compass just came out with an amazing program that allows you to
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
want to explain a little bit about that?
Sure. So Compass will, in a way, loan the sellers the money so that we can stage and do any improvements to the property before it goes on the market. And so that they don't have to put that money up front. And I think it makes them more comfortable with the whole process.
Yeah, helping us as agents and then helping us to help the sellers, I think it's
Yeah.
transforming the industry.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, in today's market, as you know, sellers, they want top dollar, but the market it's a little rocky.
Yeah.
And I'll just say it out loud, it's a buyer's market.
It is, it's
I think
becoming,
it's a
yes.
buyer's market unless you're going to be a realistic seller.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you can't be an unrealistic seller. So I think that what we
Exactly.
have to offer, what you have to offer as well,
Yeah.
between your charm, and I can't say another word besides charm with you. I just love hanging out with you.
I love hanging out with you, James, even though we just met. So
Yeah, I know.
it's been
Right. I just came over in September, but
Yeah.
that's what I like about the brokerage community, though. And one reason why I really wanted to do this show is to showcase how we as brokers can come together and really help each other sell properties.
Exactly.
There's so much that looks like we're in competition with each other,
And we're not.
And we're
That's
not.
like, that could be further from the truth, really.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
we're here to help each other, and that's the atmosphere that Compass creates. It's like collaborative and cooperative.
It's true.
It's really great.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because when we compete, it just does a disservice to the sellers and the
Exactly.
buyers.
Yeah.
And I like to come, and I'll just say one more thing. You and I have this amazing, manager on the
Yes,
Upper West Side, and Tony
Tony
Oakley.
Oakley,
And what does
yes.
Tony do throughout? He sings opera throughout the office.
Isn't that great?
It's hysterical.
Yeah.
Where else do you go where a manager just sings opera all day long?
We kind of need it, though, right?
Of course we do. It
Yeah.
lightens everything up.
And we need your laughs.
Oh, that's
so.
very sweet of you. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for allowing us again to showcase this property. And I hope that every broker who is watching this, every potential buyer just sees, the really specialness of this property.
Yeah.
It can be a community center. It can be, a two-family home.
Even a single family, too.
Or a single family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come to dinner here.
Sure.
Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, my pleasure. It was
Yeah.
so nice doing this interview with you.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you in the office.
I'll see you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. I'd like to thank my guests today, Scooter LaForge and Michelle Matilla. For more information about this property or any others, you can email me at james.angelo@compass.com. And thanks for watching What's Your Deal? We'll see you next time.